Hello, Derryfield families. My name is Tracy Blaisdell, and I am co-chair of the math department, and I am also co-head class advisor for the 6th grade. This is my 19th year at Derryfield, all of those years teaching in the middle school. I teach 6th grade Introduction to Algebra and Geometry, 7th grade Algebra and Statistics, and I also coach field hockey and middle school tennis. I am a New Hampshire native, born and raised in Concord. After college and marrying my husband Mark, we worked at a boarding school in New Jersey for almost a decade, and there I was also chair of the math department as well as head of residential life, among other things. I taught most high school classes from algebra through calculus, and I also taught a little history, English, and some photography. We moved back to New Hampshire to be closer to family, and we were hoping to find a school that would match our philosophy of what we believe about education. We were so happy to find Derryfield. It's been a home to us and our family. It is a place that challenges students, not just academically, but to also to be good people, to build their character, to care about others, to care about themselves, their health, and every part of themselves. We felt so good about the school that we also sent our 2 children here. Both Sarah and Parker attended 6 through 12. They're now adults, off into their adult lives. And our daughter Sarah and her husband just had their first child, which is my first grandchild, our first grandchild. And so on the weekends, you might find me holding my grandchild, playing with him, or kayaking on the rivers and lakes of New Hampshire, or hiking on all the trails with Mark and my dog Sadie. In the math department, we really believe in building creative problem solvers. We want students who can think, not who can just memorize, but who can take what they learn and apply it, to learn more about the world, to help math to help understand the world even better. In my classes, not all students are always doing the same thing at all times. It is very differentiated, so depending on previous experience and depending on how quickly a student learns, they may be doing something different or working in small groups with other students who are taking on that challenge or getting the additional support. A few important things. I ask my students every day to rise to the challenge. RISE is an acronym. I want students to be resourceful. I want them to use the Derryfield website where I am a power user. I want them to look at the website every day. I have my assignments there, but I also have a lot of information in the topics section. The topics section, I put videos that other people have made, but I also make my own videos on EduCreations, additional links to more practice, answer keys, and so many other resources. So I really hope that students will use that. Another resource I want them to use is me. I want them to come to Extra Help when they have questions. I want them to ask questions in class, whether that is through the chat now or just raising their hand and asking a question. I also want students in RISE to be independent. Yes, as parents, we don't want our children to feel bad and to be struggling, but it's through struggle that we often learn the most. So what I encourage parents to do is if your child is having a little bit of a hard time, please ask them questions instead of just telling them what to do. Ask them, do you have some notes from class? Ask them, have you looked at any videos that Mrs. Blaisdell has posted? Ask them if they can explain to you the main ideas or the big idea. All of the questions are helpful. Now, if your child is really struggling, please reach out and also have them reach out to me. I want to work with you. We all need to work together so that your child can grow and be successful. All right. Other ways that students can be independent is they can try extra work. They can try some of the independent challenges that I post. Those are often optional, though I may require them for some students. And it's an important opportunity for those students who want challenge to try those so that they can discuss them in small groups and with me. I also want students to be strong. Now, what do I mean by strong? Strong means they're persistent, they're resilient, that mistakes are places to learn and to bounce back from. That's what it means to be strong. I also want students to be engaged. E is engaged. Engaged in the class, engaged with their classmate, engaged with the material, and engaged with the school. A student who does all of these things will be successful. They will grow, and I'll be here to support them. I hope to meet all of you eventually. Hopefully by the end of the year, we will all get a chance to meet in person. But until then, please, I encourage you to reach out if you have questions, thoughts, or just want to share some things with me. Send it to all of our Derryfield addresses is first initial last name at derryfield.org. So I would be tblaisdell@derryfield.org.
Parents to my video. This is Mr. Brandt talking, but you can see from around the room, this is my classroom, and these are my wonderful students. I've been at Derryfield for 13 years, and in that time, I've been the math department chair. I've worked in the middle school. I'm now the dean of faculty. I've been teaching this course for a couple years. I love it because the students are really ready to go with higher level stuff. And they dig in. We do both Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 in this course. We start pretty quickly. Chen, what did we start with?
We started with, well, right now we're doing system of equations.
Yeah. And what did we do before? The thing you were so into.
Infinities.
Infinities. So we looked at, what are they called? No. How did we get at different infinities? Sequences and what? Summations, yeah. Which is a pretty good advanced topic, and they had to dig into what was going on with those things. And they were exposed to some infinities. So we're going to get all the way through this the whole time. I'm going to try to have different levels of problems. From the basic review sort of techniques. Let me see. Here's my board. There's Sebastian. Sebastian waved from home. Sebastian's at home. He's working hard. You have this nice touchscreen TV. And let's see. This was the intro packet. I want to show you. We've been doing this kind of stuff in class. This is the level 2 stuff. Jake, what did you think of the level 2 problems? They were hard, right? So what I want to have is different levels of challenge. They'll learn the basics of systems of equations. But Jake, what did you think about number 30 there?
Number 30. I think I saw that one.
Yeah, so Jake did all right on that one, right? How many people did those level 2 questions yet? Raise your hand. Jake, yeah. So this lives out there. How many people did the review of the basic abstract methods? Yeah, that was their homework. They had 3 options last night. They could finish up some initial word problems, or they could review abstract equation solving. So my name's Pete Brandt again. I'm excited to work with your kids. Give me a call or send me an email at pbrant.derryfield or at derryfield.org. And I will fill you in on how your son or daughter is doing in this class. Say bye, folks.
Bye.
Yeah, that exactly.
Hi there. Michelle Coombs here, math teacher at the Derryfield School, and I have been here for 28 years, and that's a long time. I came right out of UNH, as green as you can get, and began teaching over in the upper school, and then after 20 or so years over there, have recently come over to the middle school. I've taught everything from pre-algebra up through pre-calculus, and this year in particular I teach geometry, and that's our 8th grade math course. It's essentially a high school geometry course given in grade 8. And then I also teach a section of 7th grade math, which is called Algebra and Statistics. And that's essentially a pre-algebra / algebra 1 course with an emphasis on statistics and data analysis. So just a little bit more about me. I love to sing, and you might on a weekend find me singing out in the recording studio that my husband and I own and run, Rocking Horse Studio. And I love to work out in the garden and work in the kitchen, canning fruits and jams and pickles and things like that. I might also be found on any given weekend just plunked down on the couch with 3 cats and a husband, watching an awesome movie. And downtime is definitely good time. So I love my job. What keeps me coming back every year are just the awesome kids that I get the pleasure to teach. They're creative, they're kind, they're curious. My colleagues are equally creative and kind and curious. And I had a great exchange today, just today, with a 7th grader I was having lunch with. And he asked me, he said, Mrs. Coombs, oh, here's the bell. Hold on, let's let it ring. So the 7th grader asked me, Mrs. Coombs, doesn't it get boring teaching the same material year after year after year? And I really appreciated that he asked me that. But I thought about it and I said, no, it doesn't really get boring, because every year it's like I'm seeing it for the first time through new eyes. All of the eyes of my students, they're all seeing it for the first time. So I'm seeing it for the first time through them. And it keeps it fresh, it keeps it new, it keeps it challenging. And my job is to meet the students where they're at and understand if they're struggling, or on the other end of the spectrum, if they're craving more and they need a little bit more challenge. That's my job, is to know my students well and to read that and to foster that good communication, student to teacher, teacher to student, so we can have that line of sharing between us, so we can be honest with each other, and I can say, hey, I think you really, really need to come see me for help, and let's work on this. Or a student might say to me, hey, I really like a little bit more challenge. Help me find something else that I can dig into. And so again, it's those kinds of things. It's always fresh. It's new. It's exciting. I love what I do. I love where math and art collide. I love hands-on, experiential, tactile learning. And unfortunately, in this COVID age, there are some limitations to some of the projects that I've done and that I want to keep doing. But we're adapting, we're adjusting, and just doing the best that we can. In terms of our department, the mathematics department in the middle school, our number one goal is to meet students where they're at, as I already alluded to. We want all of our students to see themselves as math people, right? I mean, how many times you hear people say, oh, I'm not a math person, right? And they have that math phobia. And we really want to empower our kids just to see themselves, hey, I'm a person, I can do math, I therefore am a math person. And instilling in them just a little bit more grit and perseverance in terms of problem solving, right? Being presented with some problem that might seem overwhelming at first. Our greatest job is to give those students the tools that they need to be able to break that seemingly overwhelming problem down into manageable, smaller chunks that are perfectly solvable. And so we foster those problem-solving skills and really work those strategies with the kids all year long. In geometry, just to give you insight to our first unit, we are working with the building blocks of geometry, likening geometry really to like a Lego universe, right? Where you have these smaller pieces, these building blocks that you can put together and create some pretty awesome structures. In geometry, that's what we do. The point, the line, the plane, they all come together to create some pretty awesome structures. And can we draw pictures of those structures? Can we interpret diagrams that have those structures in them? Are we seeing them the way that we're supposed to see them? Two-dimensional, three-dimensional. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. We're sketching a lot of pictures, we're interpreting diagrams, we're learning notation, but we have to start with those building blocks and go from there. In algebra and statistics, my 7th grade course, just the first unit we're doing there, is a probability unit. It's a great way to review fractions and decimals and percents in a realm where maybe they haven't worked before. They maybe haven't done a lot of probability coming in. So we're rolling die and spinning spinners and talking about dependent versus independent events, and we're calculating probabilities, and all the while reviewing fractions and decimals and percents, which is our ulterior motive. But yeah, what a great application there, and the kids are thriving. They love it so far. I think the most important thing that I need from you, from parents at home, is just to be a cheerleader, to encourage, and yes, to engage, but don't take over. Don't do for your child. But if you see your child struggling, definitely engage them. Ask them lots of questions. Have them show you what's going on, but just try and steer them the right way with question after question after question. Or really just encourage that student to embrace that struggle and do what you can, but maybe you should go see Miss Coombs tomorrow. Maybe you should ask her, some questions in class. Maybe you should see her during extra help, right? Encourage that, because we just want to empower the kids to be able to know what to do when they don't know what to do, and so to give them those skills, those advocacy skills, is huge, rather than just kind of take over and do it, or take over and, oh yeah, I'll work you through this. I just really need you to try to stay distanced from doing, but obviously you want to support and encourage and care and point them in the right direction. But it's that weird fine line, and you have to walk that every day as teachers, as helpers, and so I just ask for your help on that. I suppose my list of things to talk about, I've got in front of me, I've exhausted, but I think just to end, I want to just encourage you to reach out to me at any time if you have questions or concerns. All kinds of helpful information lives on the MSA site on our bulletin board. My course syllabus, grading policies and expectations and things like that are there. So go ahead and read through those things and get in touch if you have questions. I'm available. Email is the best way, and I'll get right back to you within at least a day or two. Sometimes things get a little crazy here, but 24 to 48 hours, I will be right back to you. But yeah, reach out. I'm happy to help. I really enjoy teaching your kids, and I look forward to meeting and getting to know you in some way, shape, or form in the year ahead. But good luck, and stay safe and well, and thanks for watching my little video. Bye.
Hello, Derryfield community. This is Mr. Induning coming to you from the math hallway, where I teach Algebra 2 and the combined honors Algebra 2 pre-calculus class. Delighted to be working this year. Glad to be back in the classroom. and happy with this great group of students that we have coming in this year. There's been a lot of modifications, but so far so good. I'm very proud of the effort that the students have put in both academically and socially as we've been coming into the new year. It's unfortunate I can't get to see all the families during the normal parent night. I know some of you already, but I hope to meet everybody in person at some point down the line. So it has been a good start to the year so far. This is a very strong group of promising students. I'm very pleased to be able to work with them. Part of what we're working on is, as a math department as a whole, is that we want our math to be more about learning than just about performing. So we don't want our students to just focus on just getting to the end of the problem to get an answer, but understanding the context of that answer and why we're doing the process and what the actual results indicate. And so towards that end, we like to encourage that mistakes are valuable to our students and that those are the way that we actually increase our learning. And towards that end, we are employing this year in the classes that I teach a mastery learning philosophy, whereas students are going to be at different stages depending on the unit that they're working on. And since speed is not the issue, we're more about learning than speed, we're going to have different students at different stages depending on their week and how that's going and just the unit that they're currently working on. Now, towards that end, one of the things that we've had to adjust to this year is that the greatest strength here at Derryfield is how well the students collaborate with each other. I've not been at a school before where the students are so strong at helping each other, so strong at teaching each other, working through problems together, brainstorming together, and getting to a group consensus on issues. That's difficult in the math department. I can't just send everybody up to the boards to talk to each other through different issues. Now, of course, we talk in the group as a class, but that's different than actually digging in together to different math things. So that is recognized as the great strength here in the Derryfield Math Department, is how well the students collaborate. So that's still a work in progress. We're figuring out how to make that part of every class. And I would have to say that that's the biggest change this year. Also, along with just my inability to wander among the students and see what they're actually up to at any given time. Now, we're addressing all these issues, but I would say that's the two main differences other than just the procedural things that are going on this year. I have two daughters myself in this community. Samantha's a senior and Anna is a junior, and I'm delighted to be here and back in the classroom. On any given weekend, you can see me hanging with my family and with my dogs. I enjoy reading quite a bit, and my main hobby is to geek out in doing board gaming. And so I'm hopeful to meet everybody later in the year. By all means, feel free to contact me at any time. Questions, concerns, comments, and again, I'm very proud of the students and what they've done so far in the year.
Hi everyone, I am Kelly LeBlanc and I am the new math teacher here at Derryfield School, and I am very excited to be a part of the Derryfield community. I chose Derryfield for multiple reasons, but two of the biggest reasons that I chose Derryfield are because of the close-knit community as well as the 21st century learning style that Derryfield offers its students. This is my 7th year of teaching. I spent the first 6 years teaching at both a public and then private high school in Vermont. And I have taught a variety of courses, including Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Geometry, Pre-Algebra, Personal Finance, and Statistics. This year, I am teaching two of my favorite courses in mathematics, which are Advanced Algebra and Statistics, and I'm very excited to be teaching both of those two sections each. The biggest goals that I have for each class are to make math as much fun as possible, create a positive classroom environment where students aren't afraid to ask questions, as well as creating a classroom environment where students can collaborate together. Another goal of mine is to work with both students and parents in a positive manner in order to be able to support every student in the ways that will allow them to succeed the most, both inside and outside of the classroom. In advanced algebra, students will be strengthening previous skills learned in 7th and 8th grade, as well as learning some new skills such as solving quadratic equations, which will all prepare them for the work that they're going to do in Algebra 2, pre-calculus, and even calculus. In statistics, we will be working on multiple ways in which students can describe location of data values, create and analyze different types of data, and even create and analyze a survey, and so much more. Outside of the classroom, I am one of the assistant coaches for the field hockey program. And when I'm not at Derryfield, I love being outside either hiking or participating in winter mountain activities. I enjoy sitting out by the lake or by the ocean and just kind of relaxing by the water and really enjoying all that Mother Nature has to offer within the upper New England area. I am a New England girl. I was born and raised in Connecticut, and I moved to Vermont for college and have never left the upper New England area. And I'm so excited to now be a part of the New Hampshire community. It has already been an amazing start to my year and my time here at Derryfield, and I really cannot wait to see what the future holds.
Hi there, my name is Peter Telpe and I have been teaching at the Derryfield School in the mathematics department since 2017. Before coming to Derryfield, I have spent a lot of my young adult life pursuing ranching activities in Wyoming, as well as a degree in math. And in 2016, I accepted a short position at a small semester school in Colorado called HMI, which prepared me with an awesome student teaching experience. And I have been at Derryfield since then. When I'm not teaching, you can still find me during my summers in northwestern Wyoming. But during the year in New Hampshire, I enjoy cooking and I'm becoming an avid disc golf player and also still try to explore the mountains of the Northeast. To me, Derryfield is a place of community where I can tussle with students on tough philosophical ideas and really have them create the space in which they think. In math specifically, that means that I want students to be able to be creative and have agency over the problems they solve. They don't need to encounter things in the world and say, I don't know how to process this issue. They're used to diving right in, getting their hands dirty, and are motivated to solve problems. The way I do this is I let students make their own connections. I think a perfectly designed class could be a list of very well thought out leading questions that lead students to find different concepts and build the world of math for themselves. In terms of assessments, the way I do this is via letting students retake quizzes to show that they've mastered the content, and therefore my quizzes always include a tough conceptual question that they have not yet seen, with the reassurance that they may retake the quiz in the future. I also often have homework problems where I ask students to make up their own problem within a certain set of parameters, and I think that that gives them a glimpse into the creativity they can have with math. So this year I'm teaching 3 main courses, 2 sections of geometry, 1 section of calculus, and a section of a computer science lab, more exploratory course. This is my first year teaching geometry, but I've been teaching calculus, pre-calculus, and computer science since arriving at Derryfield. In geometry, my goals are for students to play and build their own spatial world that they can use to help understand their own physical world a little better. And we really talk a lot about how our spatial mathematical world is helpful, yet lives in a different realm than our physical world. In calculus, I think about students building confidence and building the base of their skills as they approach college and potentially future math courses. In calculus, this is a time for us to deep dive into some really fundamental concepts and really take a deep breath from the fast pace that is math coming all the way through high school. In the computer science lab course, I set students pretty much free to explore on their own. In the first term, I guide them through some web building and basic programming skills, and after that, I let them design and fulfill any type of computer science project that they would like. Of course, I have different directions I can point students who don't have a natural inclination to a specific idea. On that note, in geometry, the first thing we do is build the world of space and talk about lines and angles and different shapes and really start from the ground up. In calculus, we start with a unit called rational functions, which really helps students grasp the concepts of infinity and thinking about motion in numbers, which really helps us move into the first calculus unit of limits. And then, as I said, in computer science, we start with some HTML, CSS, JavaScript, the standard components of the modern web, and from there branch out to student-driven projects. As parents, I'm always happy to have you contact me with any questions, although if it's content related, I would love your student to reach out and advocate for themselves, as communicating in math and science is one of the big skills that we attempt to build. The only other thing I ask you to do with your students at home is encourage them to try math. The most helpful thing you can do is encourage your student to play, to put their pencil to their paper, and explore the world of math without just stopping with a question mark. If you can model this behavior for them, even better. But as long as you never tell them, well, I'm no good at math, then I'll be happy. Thank you so much.
My name is Jim Watt, and I've been at Derryfield for 3 years now. I've been teaching for over 20. I really enjoy teaching at Derryfield because it's a really creative place. We've overcome a lot so far this year to get things rolling for COVID. But before that, we've also made the move away from APs to ATs, and it's really allowed me to get creative in the things that I like to teach, and I appreciate that a lot. It's a fun place to teach. Let's see, on the weekends, I might be doing something like I teach AT investment math, AT calc, pre-calculus, probably doing some work on those classes. But the other thing I like to do is I like to fly fish, and I also have a beekeeping course here at Derryfield, and that's something that I'll be out in the bee yard managing some bees. I also like to run, play soccer. Got a lot of things to keep me busy. I'll be out and about on the weekends. Some of the department goals that I have, hey, I really think that when the kids are doing the math, the kids are doing the learning. So I try to get them working on problem sets and kind of collaborative problems as frequently as possible. And I try to minimize the amount of time where I'm sitting in front of the classroom speaking. I really try to get them working and them collaborating and them talking about how to solve tough problems. Let's see, I've taught AT, this is my 3rd year teaching AT Calc. This is my, let's see, my 2nd year teaching AT Investment Math. And I've taught pre-calculus a bunch before, but this is my first time at Derryfield teaching pre-cal, and liking that course a lot so far. Let's see. In terms of kind of the first kind of units we've done so far this year, it's been a review, mostly in pre-cal. We've looked at how graphs move, and in AT Calc, we've looked at the concept of a limit, and now we've moved to derivatives, and we'll tidy up on some concepts and make sure that we understand derivatives pretty well, and then we'll move to integrals. In AT investment math, we're trying to get some context in kind of markets and how they work, because we're going to start investing in them. So we better know some general terms and kind of the climate that we're investing in today. So that's one of the things that we've spent our time working on. You guys can help your students by not doing their math problems for them, but maybe just engaging and making sure they're doing some math. Sometimes they'll have light assignments or they can finish those in class, but sometimes they'll definitely have some homework. And the only way to get good at math is to do math problems. right? Got to practice it. Just like if you want to get better at basketball, you got to practice your shot. You want to get better at math, you got to do math problems. So make sure they practice, but don't just do the problems for them. Make sure that they're getting the problems done themselves. That's all I have for you this evening. I hope you have a nice night, and hope to see you in class sometime.
Hi, my name is Dawson Shine, and I'm actually a new teaching fellow hire at Derryfield School. I'm currently teaching a Spanish 1 section as well as a pre-calculus section in the math department, and also helping out with TA duties, assisting Mrs. Viola, who's also in the Spanish department, as well as an assistant coach for the rowing team at Derryfield, which is actually how I found out about the school itself. This recent year, I graduated from Ithaca College, and I was looking to get into education or coaching, and found out when I reached out to Mr. Hetler that they needed some help with the crew team. And after he saw my past history working with Spanish TA duties in Ithaca College out in New York, as well as tutoring pre-calculus and calculus for the last 6 to 7 years, it became a match made in heaven where I got to actually join Derryfield School, both in the classroom and on the water with the rowing team. And honestly, in the first month, I haven't been able to look back. It's been amazing. Obviously, I'm still new at the moment, so I don't have the greatest feel on exactly how Derryfield operates, but I know I already love the atmosphere, the student-focused teaching, the way the kids are allowed to learn, and the fact that there's just this close-knit relationship between all of the community of students, faculty, and parents. And each week, no matter how much time gets put into working and prepping and learning what everything's going on this year, it still feels like it's worth every second that I spend. But, of course, you might find me doing something else on the weekends, like rowing a single at the Amoskeag Boat Club, where we actually row out of for Derryfield School, or even just cooking weird meals in the kitchen. I absolutely love to try recipes that I've never seen before, and I go out that morning, buy all the ingredients I think I need, and just whip something up, hope for the best. And honestly, that's kind of how I view the classes for students, is just taking what you need on a given day and then figuring out how we can get from point A to point B, getting through that recipe, and coming up with a great meal by the end of class. I'm definitely teaching in two very different departments in terms of Spanish 1 and pre-calculus, but despite that, there's still a lot that gets put into both of these. They're very much like languages, and I like to approach them with the same basic philosophy, which is you can't be afraid to make mistakes, and you can't be afraid to ask questions. When you're first learning math or you're first learning Spanish, the biggest hurdle is just trusting that you have to step out over a ledge and take a risk, ask a question in a language you don't really know, try a sentence you've never heard before that you just read in a book. Anyone who's taken a second language knows that the process, it's difficult at first. So I try to create a judgment-free zone for the students where they can take risks, they can speak Spanish in class as much as possible, or they're willing to answer questions in math for homework or tests with confidence going into it, and trying to build that respectful understanding between myself and the students that they are allowed to try something even if they're not sure if it's right, because they know no matter what, they will learn through the process. Specifically for Spanish, I've been trying to build the foundation for a new language, especially with months removed from being on a campus, working with a school environment. I want them to be able to comfortably develop their ability without wearing too much on grading aspects or tests, really focusing on projects to get them comfortable holding conversations about general topics in life and school with another Spanish speaker. I also want to provide them the opportunity to hear different Spanish speakers, their accents, their cultures, their backgrounds from all across the world and the US. I mean, Spanish is a language, it opens the door to cultural exchange between peoples and nations for the students learning it. And I want to make sure they have the ability to participate and appreciate these cultural exchanges and differences. For pre-calculus, on the other hand, I'm doing roughly the same style, but for them, they've been learning math for years. And this year in particular, it's difficult because, of course, the students are coming back from months removed from a school environment. So my hope is that these students, by the end of the year, will have confidence again in their ability to learn and progress in mathematics, which can be daunting for some students. Obviously, with pre-calculus, you have to deal with trigonometry, the exploration of topics that are going to be related to calculus in the next year if they continue onward. You have to learn how to recognize patterns, trends, relationships, and it can be a lot for a student, especially when it's in the middle of this crazy year. So I try to make sure that when they get to class, it's comfortable, it's relaxed, and they realize that I'm not going to just leave them behind. Math is a cumulative process of learning, especially in pre-calculus. You're trying to build up from trigonometry and algebra, moving towards calculus. It's this branching bridge that they need to be walking carefully along, not stumbling, not falling, not getting stuck on the opposite side. Success comes from just consistent work ethic and not being afraid to ask for me to slow down or to move on. If we're getting the topics and we're going through quickly, we can pass through stuff that might have been prior knowledge and jump right into the harder material. And as they already know, I'm always available to schedule appointments outside of class time, to meet on Zoom, to work on the homework, because that's the only way they'll make it stronger in math. They need to really be confident in the ability to learn and to struggle. And it's been fantastic so far. And at home, I mean, some of the useful things that these students need nowadays, for Spanish, for example, is just being encouraged to listen to media. Maybe they like podcasts. They could listen to just a news show in Spanish, getting themselves surrounded in the language and the culture, and kind of removing themselves from the clusters that we're currently in just because of society and what's going on. And it requires a lot of support, maybe they're letting them teach you at home, having them practice and be proud of what they're learning in class. And for math as well, there's the same pitfall that usually happens where a student struggles with math and then they get written off as a poor math student forever by maybe parents or by faculty, whatever happens at certain schools. And I hope that this year we can break kids out of that pitfall and pull them back up, get them on track, and be encouraged to spend time at night working on homework, but also putting it away after a certain point in time and just asking for help. And letting them do that. Letting them branch out, fail, but then come back and succeed. Overall, I think it's going to be a fantastic year, and I can't wait to work with all the students for the next few months and really get learning back on track. Thank you.
Hi, this is Steve Young talking to you from the robotics lab at Derryfield. I wanted to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about my classes here. I grew up in New York City, and after college I went to grad school in Madison, Wisconsin, and got a master's in math. I moved to Chicago and became an actuary, and after a while I moved back to New York and I worked in IT. And then while I was there, I was going to night school at NYU, which made for some very long days, but eventually I got a second master's in computer science. And, each year I kind of felt a little bit less satisfied with what I was doing, and eventually I made the jump of that I call twice the work for half the pay. And I went to teach at my old high school, which was a very interesting experience. And 4 years ago, I moved to New Hampshire, where my wife is from, and got a job here at Derryfield. This is my 14th year teaching, and I teach honors pre-calculus, honors calculus, and software design with Java. The math and the computer science parts are very different in some ways, but there's a lot of connections, and that's kind of my favorite part of both, is that interface between the two, recognizing patterns, working with abstractions, discovering and analyzing algorithms, and really critical reasoning, breaking a problem down into pieces. There's a lot of actual applications, obviously, of computer science and certainly of math, but I think the intangible ones, the indirect ones, are more valuable, that sort of nature of reasoning. one of the problems that math education has had for a while is this idea that you have to do all the mechanics. You have to learn these mechanical skills. And unfortunately, because it's so boring and a lot of people leave the train before we get to the destination, that's become code for what math is. That math is about solving equations and adding 3 to both sides correctly and things like that. And it's unfortunate because that's not what math is. It's a means to an end. The goal is to use those skills to get to a deeper place of understanding, to see things that you wouldn't otherwise be able to see. I try in my classes to focus on the beauty of mathematics, the deeper ideas, the connections. And it's true, if you add 3 to one side of the equation and 4 to the other side of the equation, then you can talk about beauty all you want, but you do have to get those mechanics right, and that part isn't always glorious. But if you just focus on that, you miss out on some incredible opportunities. So we don't get to have those glorious connection days every day, but I try to focus on puzzles and on helping the students get to their own place of understanding. It's been very challenging this year. But going into it, I think one of the goals that all the teachers had was, we don't want our passion for our subjects to get lost behind the masks. But we recognize that we need to be flexible and caring. And that's really what Derryfield's about. Those core values we espouse are not buzzwords. We are a caring community, and we understand that everyone has lost something. Everyone is wrestling with how to proceed forward. So far, the students have been just amazing. They've been patient, they've been understanding, they're working very hard, and they get what we're trying to do, that we are trying to be in this building together to the extent we can until Thanksgiving. And it's a lofty goal, and we see schools succeed and others fail. It is a real challenge, and we are trying very hard. But I think what comes through, hopefully, is the caring, and I'm very glad to be here in this community. You can see here, this is the Mandelbrot set. It's probably one of the most famous and mysterious mathematical objects, and all of these little islands are actually connected. This is an incredibly complicated structure that's built from a very simple rule that just gets iterated, which is incredibly surprising. And it's one of the things about math that I love so much, that you can find such intricate things arise from simple things. And I hope this year that beauty and that joy comes through to the students. And I also hope that we get to more normal times and we get to meet in person again and shake hands and have you in my classroom together at the same time or in the auditorium. We miss that, but we are thankful for what we have and working hard to make this year work. So thanks for taking the time to watch this, and I look forward to the rest of this year. Have a good one.